Welcome, crafty friends. Annie Collins here for British Monroe. Today, I'm going to create 3 cards featuring the Black Friday deals that are happening. So, with the Black Friday deals, they stack, and you get a variety of fun things with each increment you order. So, every order will receive dies. There'll be shimmer splash for 25 and over, 50 and over, and so forth. The this paper pad I'm using is from the $75 purchase, and there's 3 to choose from. I'm using the Candy Cane Christmas. This is an 8x8 paper pad. It has 9 designs altogether, 3 of each. There's some foiled ones, and there are some foiled tags and other little things in there. Let me give you a quick view of the paper. These are all double-sided. This one has these fun trees with happy holidays in pink on the background. Pink is a color that runs through it. There's some candies and a gingham. The ornaments on a pink background with some snowflakes, gingerbread people here, and a green background here, and then the lights with the plaid design, stockings, all the different Christmas or holiday words, packages, little stars, ornaments on a red background with pink on pink stars. And now we're going to show you the foil. This is the foil, same of words with some foil on it and with some green background with white polka dots. We have the ornaments with silver foil again with some snowflakes on the other side. Packages with the foil. Like I said, there's mint and green throughout. And this has got the stars on the background. So that's the quick run through of all the paper. That's only one of the 3 pads that will be available for you to choose from. And that's at the $75 purchase. Today, we're going to use this pattern paper. The other side has got the string lights. At 100, you get a rub-ons. 150 is stencils. 200 is a Temp-Holtz die. And at 250, you get the stamp set that coordinates with this paper. I'm showing you the inside tags here. They're calling them tags and stamps. There's 6 larger tags, and then these little ones here that you can say they look like stamps, or they're great for maybe stamping your sentiment on, adding little layers to your card. We're going to use one of those for today's card. And this is the stamp set that you receive with your $250 purchase. This is a 6x8 stamp set. It coordinates with the Candy Cane Christmas pattern paper. And these are from Tonic Studio. We're going to use the word here, the sentiment that says joy with the little stars on the side for our card. From British Monroe, I'm bringing in the Holiday Hugs. This has 4 images of gnomes with a great variety of gnome punny sentiments to coordinate. We're going to use this little guy here with the Christmas tree on his head. I've already stamped and colored him and fussy cut him out. I stamped him on some Perfect Blend cardstock and colored him with Olo markers. From my stash, I have some British Monroe ribbon. I'm going to use the red. This, I'm not sure which pack it's from, but it has green, 2 shades of green, and this red, and it coordinates beautifully. We're going to use some of that. To save us some time, I'm going to bring out the pre-scored card bases. These are the A2 size for each of the cards we'll be creating today. For this card as well, I will be stamping and embossing. So this little die cut piece of cardstock is where my sentiment will live. And this is one of the fussy cut little tags. Here's my bow that I'm going to place on top. And here's the pattern paper I chose. I'm going to use this side here, the little diagonal plaid. I wrote in some layering cardstock in red and our card base. So I'm going to be embossing with the British Monroe Sterling embossing powder. So I also have my embossing ink right here and the embossing powder in sterling. We'll do that in a moment. I thought that will match nicely for our card. And then I have some confetti here. I'm going to use some silver confetti to accent our card. So let's bring in the stamping platform. I'm going to grab it really quick so that we can stamp our sentiment and heat set it. You'll need your heat tool as well. So I'm going to go ahead and move this on here. And I realize I need to put some anti-static powder on my piece of paper here on my little cardstock. So I'm going to line this up, but I'll notice this here in a second and I'll remove it. Close my lid, pick up my stamp, and then I will go ahead and put my anti-static powder. Just here we go. Here's my, I put my anti-static powder onto my little card. I put this onto my sticky mat. I got a better sticky mat that I know it will hold. So this is a British Monroe stick and stamp mat that is actually sticky. All right, so I'm going to place my stamp on here. I'll ink it up using the embossing ink. And then I'll use the embossing powder with it. Get that going there. I'm using the grid lines on the mat to line up my cardstock. Make sure everybody's good and it's not, so I need to adjust. There we go. And I'm going to line this up. So all of these items are from the Black Friday. Well, not all the items. The Tonic Studio Candy Cane Christmas 8x8 pad and the Candy Cane Christmas stamp set. I'm bringing in some British Monroe items to coordinate beautifully with this paper pad and stamp set. Like I said, I'm using the Holiday Hugs, which is the little gnomes, for this card. There is a candy cane Christmas die set, and that's the little free gift that you get if you purchase a $300 or more. Now, like these stack, so you start getting and adding all these to your orders. The more you purchase, the more things get added. Every order will receive a mystery die, just a cute little mystery die. For $25 on up, you get the limited edition Shimmer Splash. And the 50 purchase on up will receive Brutus Monroe scratch off bucks or Brutus Bucks scratch off cards. If you want to see a better image of what all that looks like, Christopher did a live showing all that. It's up on the channel. All right. So here I'm just dusting off the extra embossing powder, and I still have some that's stuck to there. So I'm going to grab a quick little brush to dust off the excess embossing powder. I can grab it. Here we go. I'm just going to wipe it off. This is because I kept touching it and I have lotion on my hands. So everything got gets stuck on there. All right, I'm going to dust that off, clean it up a bit, and then I will heat set this. These are some great Black Friday deals going on this weekend. So I hope you take advantage of it. All right, let me dump all this embossing powder back into its container and close the lid quickly before I make a mess. I'm just getting everything out of the way, and then I'll bring in my heat tool. There we go. And then if you've never embossed before for heat embossing, if it goes from dull to shiny, once it's completely shiny and smooth, you've heat embossed. Um, it starts out like a dull silver, and then you'll see here, once I get the heat tool going on it, it'll turn into a nice shiny silver. I like to heat from behind as well on top. That minimizes our warping of our paper, of our cardstock. Even though this is heavyweight cardstock, it still will warp with the heat. So as you can see there, it goes from dull to shiny. It's just like magic. I love watching embossing powder melt. Okay, there we go. Give it one last little once over, and we will be set. Just going to set that aside for a sec to cool off. Let me put my heat tool down. And then we'll build our card while that cools off. You don't want to touch it right now because you can smear it. Okay, because it's all melty. All right. So next, I'm going to get all the components for our card so we can go ahead and put it together. I have some embossing powder on my desk, sorry. All right, I'm going to bring in some Barely Art liquid glue to adhere everything. I have the little fine tip on this one. So I'm going to start with our layering cardstock here. Let me move my card base out of the way and try to get up more into it, view. I'm going to adhere our card, not our cardstock, our pattern paper to our layering cardstock. And I'm going to center it. I've used a die to trim this down from my stash. You don't have to use a die. You can just trim it with your trimmer if you do not have rectangle dies. I'm going to now adhere this panel to the card base, and then we'll just continue to build our card. I love that inside the Tonic Studio pads, they have little cutter parts to make quick and easy cards. You can use just those as is. Um, you don't need to bring anything extra. I brought in, of course, to show you that how beautiful this paper coordinates with British Monroe products. So here's our little tag. As you can see, it has the Tonic Studio logo on the back because we cut it off from the front paper. I'm going to adhere our little tag down. I love that it has the silver foil throughout on this. All the tags have little silver foil on them. And like I said, there's a couple sheets of paper in here that have the silver foil. This particular pad has shades of like a minty green, traditional red and green, and then like a minty green and pink throughout with touches of silver. I'm going to put a little glue dot here, a little opening of my tag. That's where my little bow is going to live. And he's going to just press right in here. I'm not sure if Brutus Monroe still has these ribbon packs available. But if they do, they're great for adding accents to your cards. I know he used to, Christopher used to put them out with every collection. I'm not sure if he's doing that for every collection anymore or just occasionally. All right, so here's our little Nomi. I'm gonna decide. Don't want him completely on our tag because I want to show the little gifts. He's a Santa Nomi with a little tree hat on. So I added little accents to his beard and to our tree. I filled those in with metallic gel markers. These are from Jelly Roll. The red for the ornaments and for the star and his beard, I use a little bit of the silver and the sparkle just to give him a little nice shimmer. So he coordinated with all this foily fun goodness. So I'm going to place the joy up here. I'm going to go ahead and adhere it flat since our gnome is popped up and so is our ribbon. We don't want to add too much dimension, so we can actually mail this in a traditional envelope here. It's going to press this here, hold that in place. And we're just about done. We just need to add a few accents, which I'll use with the silver confetti. So I'm going to grab those and pour them into my little dish here, into my little embellishment tray. And I'm going to create a visual triangle around the tag and the sentiment and the little gnome. So usually visual triangles work best for our eyes to read. And this also, you'll catch that little hint of shine and your eye will move across the card. So there we go, adding that one more to go. And then I'm going to place it near our sentiment up here. And we're done with card 1. Look how cute and how perfect this little gnome coordinates with this, with his little pile of presents behind him. So much fun. So we used the pattern paper and the tag from the Tonic Studio Candy Cane 8x8 pad, and the sentiment is from the Tonic Studio Candy Cane stamp set. The little Nomi came from the Holiday Hugs British Monroe stamp set. So here's the pad. I want to show you one more time. Here's the stamp. And then our little Nomis came from the Holiday Hug stamp set. The only thing I brought in from my stash was the layering cardstock, because we even used the card base. So here's card number 2. Let's go over what we're using for card number 2. We're going to use, again, these 8x8 pad. from here. And we're going to use the Candy Cane Christmas stamp set. We're going to use the Deck the Halls. And then from the Holiday Essential stamp, we're going to use the little snow globe right here. We're going to bring in the frosty finish to add a little accent. I went ahead and stamped this onto Perfect Blend cardstock, fussy cut it, and colored it with my Olo markers. So I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to bring in some metallic foil cardstock. British Monroe used to sell this in a pack. I'm sure that he has other foil cardstock that you can use. I'm going to use a little bit of the silver and, of course, our card bases. And I have some gems that I will be using as accent for. So here are all the components for our card. Look how cute this is. I love that little frosty finish. Adds a nice little snow texture to the base of our snow globe. For this one, I cut one of the foil papers, the one with the has the multiple holiday words, and then on the back side, it's just the little mint and white polka dot. So I cut a little piece of that. Here's our sentiment, which I stamped um, with Raven detail ink, and there's a little strip of foil, silver foil cardstock. Forgive my camera, it's going to act a little goofy because the foil sends it reeling for some reason. So I'm going to go ahead and fold our pre-scored card base. These are British Monroe A2 pre-scored card bases. And I'm going to use a little bit of liquid adhesive here. I'm using Fairly Art glue to adhere this piece of pattern paper, which I cut using a postage stamp die from my stash. So there we go. And now I'm using the reverse side of that same paper, which is the mint with white polka dot, to adhere that here in a landscape direction. The foil paper, I'm just going to lay that right across the bottom here. And then I'm going to have a little excess that I will cut off. Just get that there. And I realize my edge here needs a little more adhesive. And I'll do that. And then the extra I will cut off. Just going to hold this a second, let it catch. Okay, I will flip open my card. I'll grab my scissors and cut off this little extra right here. Get that cleared up out of our way. And now our sentiment will live just above the silver foil right here. But I want to make sure I have a little bit of the green cards pattern paper showing just behind it. And it's going to nestle so that our little focal image, which is our little snow globe, nestles just with our sentiment. So get that in here, line that up. And here's our little snow globe, which I popped. Use some foam adhesive on the back so I can pop it up. I'm going to get that. This, again, was stamped onto Perfect Blend cardstock, which is alcohol-friendly cardstock. I use my Olo markers to color them in. And get the last of this foam adhesive off. My favorite part is truly putting that little bit of texture with the frosty finish in the snow globe. Get this nestled. Oops, I need to move it. It got stuck. All right, I want to nestle the S within the curvature of our snow globe. Once it's there, I press it in place. And your card is basically done if you want to leave it there, if you're not into adding extra. But I want to add a few gems here. So I'm going to put, some on our card just near our snow globe. So I'll put 3 because I always put a nice visual of 3 gems or finishing touches. Okay, except for the last card. I added a little more gems, but usually I just put 3. Put this one here. And then it sticks to my finger because, nothing cooperates when you need it to cooperate. There we go. And then one more for my finishing touch. And it goes there. So now I'm going to go ahead and take this out of the way so my camera can settle. And here's our finished card. Love that foil finish on these papers and beautifully accented by the Holiday Essential stamp which is where we got our snow globe from. Let me quickly show you what we used to create this card. For this one, again, we used the Candy Cane, the Tonic Studios Candy Cane Christmas 8x8 pad, our pre-scored cards, our metallic foil paper, the Holiday Essentials stamp set, the Candy Cane Christmas 8x8 pad, and a Candy Cane Christmas stamp set. That's where we have our sentiment deck, the hauls from. Super cute, super easy. Of course, in our frosty finish. Now for card 3. I'll go over once again what we're using. Our card bases. These card bases make everything super easy. Our Candy Cane Christmas 8x8 pad, Candy Cane Christmas stamp set, our fabulous florals standalone dies. And I'll show you those here in 1 second. I'm grabbing my card components off the side. I have a little tray on the side. I'm trying to grab them all for you. All right, let me set all this so I can go over everything, show you properly what we're using. Again, we're going to use the stamp set and the pattern paper. So here's the pattern paper. It's the 8x8 paper like we've been using. We're going to use the stamp set. And we're going to use the sentiment that's right here that says Festive Wishes. Get this out of our way. These are the standalone fabulous floral dies. We're going to use this smaller flower and the center. Our pre-scored card bases for this. For my stash, we'll be bringing in some cardstock. A darker green cardstock, some gems, and a red cardstock piece, and a lighter minty colored cardstock. I also stamped our sentiment and with the Raven ink and fussy cut it out. So I die cut some circles, the red circle cardstock and a white circle. And then from our pattern paper, I cut out 2 squares, a smaller one and a larger one. I'm going to use the smaller one with the stripe, the larger one with the little holly paper. Here's our stripe. It's going to be sit on this layered on the darker green cardstock, and then the lighter green will be for our background. And I used those same colors to die cut some of our I have a strip of the pattern paper. I have some white cardstock that I've cut into a scallop. And here is our florals. I have 2 of them. I did it in shimmer cardstock for my stash, and a darker, like a fuchsia color, and a lighter pink, and then a gold, which is also a shimmer cardstock. And here are our other little elements that I brought in: some holly, a sprig, and then a little berry thing. I don't know what you call it, berry sprig. Those are little dies from my stash that coordinated with the fabulous florals. All right, so let's get jumped into the card. I'm going to adhere the mint green cardstock, which I've cut to an A2 card panel. Let me go ahead and fold my card down, and I'm going to adhere this all the way here. There we go. Get that lined up. I'm sorry, I'm slightly off camera. I will get back in camera here in a second. I'm just making adjustments. There we go. All right, now I'm going to adhere our little scallop panel and then our pattern paper right on top. We just want a little bit of that white scallop peeking through. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere this down towards the top. And then I'm going to adhere the pattern paper on top of that. I have a little corner here that didn't adhere, so I'm just going to fix that. All right, so now we're going to adhere our pattern paper. I'm just going to put a little bit here and then cut off any extra that's hanging over. There we go. Line this up, press it in place. And then you see that little bit that's there. I'll just trim that off, trim that away. Large scissors and trim away. Everything else I die cut using dies from my stash. Once that's set, Now we can set that aside and start adhering our squares together. So our floral part here onto the red, and then the stripe pattern paper, which is the reverse side of our little holly paper, onto the darker green. And they're just two shades, a lighter mint and a little bit darker mint, that coordinate perfectly with the pattern paper. There we go. Get this lined up. If I can get it straight. There we go. And then the same thing with the white on the red. Going to just adhere this down. So I'm putting some adhesive here, and then we'll line this up right there. Okay. Give it a good little press to make sure it stays. And then we're going to build right on here. So we're going to start with our flowers. We have this, like I said, I cut it from shimmer cardstock. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue in the center. And then I'll just off center the top one so that we have that nice darker color popping through, just like you would in any flower. Now, you can curl your petals before you adhere them or after. I'm going to go ahead and use my pokey tool to curl them. I just put the petal between the pokey tool and my thumb and just pull, just like you're curling ribbon. So I'm going to do that for each petal real quickly. Now I've done this both ways, before I glue it or after. I only want the top ones to be curled. So I'm just going to do it really quickly, go around. And I don't want a lot of dimension, just a little bit. It will flatten out a bit once you put it through the mail. So I put a little bit of liquid glue there so I can adhere the center. There we go. Our flower. And then I'll adhere this using a foam adhesive. So this is going to live right here on this circle. So I'm going to grab a little foam adhesive dot here, put it on the back, remove the backing, and then I can tuck everything behind it. Get this here like so, press in place. And now I'm going to start placing the little holly leaves. Now I inked my holly leaves with a little bit of Distress Oxide in, I believe it's peeled paint, because I just wanted it to be just a little bit darker. Yes, some peeled paint. Just a little bit on the edges, just to give a little more texture and dimension. So I'm going to slide that behind, tuck that behind the little flower right there. And then I have a little pine sprig, which will also get tucked as well behind, just to fill in that space. There we go. And then the little berry sprig here. And then for our berries, I'm going to place some of the gems. Let me tuck this in here. There we go. Now let's start assembling our card, and then we'll put the gems on last. So here's the base. We have our little scallop with the little piece of the pattern paper towards the top. I'm going to place the red backed pattern paper right there, that red square. I'm going to go towards the top of the right there. Then I will layer the stripe paper right there next to it. And then we'll overlap our circle onto both of these. So I'm just adjusting this because I had it a little too high. And now we'll just go ahead and add some adhesive to our circle. And this will overlap both of them, so they're just peeking out. And that'll give us just a nice little spot for our sentiment to be nestled in towards the bottom. Now our sentiment I have stamped and fussy cut out. I used Raven Detail ink for that, so it's nice and dark and crisp. And I'm going to nestle it towards the bottom. So I'm just going to remove the adhesive backing. There we go. Bear with me as I struggle along here. All right. Once I get that, I will, like I said, nestle it towards the bottom left. Okay, one last little bit. Grab my tweezers so my fingers are out of the way and I could see better. And there we go. We're going to stick it right there. Press that into place. And now let me adjust the pedal. I just put the little S, the curve of the S is pushing on my pedal. All right. So there, you can call your card done. But here I'm going to add the little berry. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little more liquid adhesive. Yes, these gems are adhesive back, but I like to add a little extra to make sure nothing falls off. Right. So I'm going to grab my pokey tool to grab these off the little acrylic sheet they come on and just place them. So there are a variety of sizes of gems, and I'm going to use them, some bigger ones and smaller ones on here. And I'm just going to fill each of those little spots with a gem. And I'm using the same darker pink color like I did for the flower. It's like a fuchsia pink. So just put them on here. It's very festive, very cute. Festive wishes. See, it matches, it coordinates. I'm going to get this one on here if it stays on the branch and not my finger. There we go. Put this last one, couple on here. So I hope you enjoy your holiday, uh, or you had a great holiday. You're seeing this after the holidays. Uh, your Thanksgiving with your family, if you celebrate. And then, if not, I hope you had a great Thursday. And I hope you get some goodies now shopping your Black Friday deals. So here we have one more to go. And then I'll place a few more onto the side near the sentiment. I'll show you right here. So I'm going to place one on the stripy paper, one above the sentiment, and one on the pattern paper on the top, just to move the shine to the other side of the card. So it's not all clustered on one side. Between the shimmer cardstock that I used for the flower and the gems, it was heavy shimmer on the right side of my card. All right, one more here, and then we are done with our card. Clear everything out of the way. Look how lovely the fabulous florals are. A fun die set from Bruce Monroe. Coordinate beautifully with the Tonic Studios Candy Cane Christmas stamp and pattern paper. So let me just grab everything that we used. We used our card bases, the fabulous floral dies, these Candy Cane Christmas stamp for the sentiment, which is the festive wishes, and our pattern paper, which is the Candy Cane Christmas. Here's a look at all three of our cards. I hope you found some inspiration. Don't forget to stop by and get some goodies from the Black Friday deal. And once again, it's Annie Collins for Bruce Monroe. Here's another look at our sales. Thank you.